Session back to order at 6:01 p.m. And we will start with a flag salute. In recognition of free speech and the following board agenda item, we welcome all and would like to note that saying the Pledge of Allegiance is not a requirement to participate in the business of this public board. If you do not say the pledge for religious, political, social, or personal reasons, you are most welcome here as an equal participant in the business of this board. All right, if you choose to participate, please stand. Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, announcement of action taken in closed session. We actually heard something that we need to vote on. So regarding student expulsion, readmission,
Expulsion.
student expulsion 2122.5. Do I have a motion to approve the staff recommendation?
Move to approve the recommendation.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second?
All right, so we will do a roll call vote. I'm going to excuse you from this one since it's a closed session vote. Trustee Kelly?
Aye.
Trustee Lee?
Aye.
And chair votes aye, so we have approved staff recommendation. Okay, adoption of agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, second?
Second?
All right, roll call vote. We have a student representative who also gets an advisory vote. His name is Riley Mason. Would you like to place an advisory vote on the adoption of the agenda?
Sure. Yes.
Aye. Okay, Trustee
Aye.
Kelly? Trustee Lee?
Aye.
Okay, and chair votes aye.
President Bruno, may I interrupt for one moment? We might
Sure.
want to make the record state that we have 2 absent members and possibly any reasons why they may be absent.
Thank you. I appreciate the reminder. Trustee Pope is out today for personal reasons, and Trustee Anderson is out sick today. So thank you. I'd forgotten that. Okay, so moving on to item 9, student board representative reports. As I mentioned, we have a student board member finally, Mr. Riley Mason. Do you have a report that you'd like to give?
So we just finished up Spirit Week and a rally last week. The rally was super good. Everyone was super spirited, as well as the Spirit Days. I saw almost everyone, 100% participation. I'd say it was more around 75 though. We have an election coming up for 9th and 11th graders, as well as 12th graders, for school board school representatives. And then we have back to school night coming up. We also have play auditions coming up tomorrow actually, as well as Club Rush tomorrow during lunch. We have about 20 clubs. And then our first home football game is this Friday against Rio Linda at home.
Okay, thank you very much. Organization reports. We have for CUTA, Ms. Vanessa Mason.
Hi, welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
Oh, maybe not.
Hello?
Oh, there we go.
Okay, hi, welcome back, everybody. We're all glad to be back on campuses. All 7 campuses today at our rep council meeting were reporting a much calmer start to the school year, so we're just completed the 9th day of school, and it's been going great so far. And an example of being back to normal are these beautiful seniors here in the audience who are here to earn community service hours and potentially vote in this upcoming November election. CUTA is also super, to use his word, super excited to negotiate with the district in early September for salary increases for all of our organizational groups. Question? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, and representing CSEA, Naisha Harris.
And Ms. Harris did let me know she would not be joining us tonight.
Okay.
So
Okay, moving right along. Reports, presentations. The Williams Uniform Complaint Quarterly Reporting with Mike Jordan. I love this report. Oh, the mic wasn't on.
I'm happy to report. I have nothing to report.
Thank you very much.
Best
Unfortunately,
report
I
of the
didn't have
year.
time to start my stopwatch, so. Okay. And then CJUSD District Safety Update with Mr. Chris Barassi.
Oh, we left it on. Welcome, everybody. Chris Barassi, Principal on Special Assignment this year. I'm here just to give a brief overview of some of the safety updates that are going on in the district. So if you want to advance that, Eugene. Again, we're going to go over just a brief overview and hit some main points of things that were going on previously in the district and then things that we're ramping up this year. One is our comprehensive plans, so our safety plans. Primary objectives of those are to make sure that we are ready for any crisis that comes up, and then we're practicing on how we reintegrate into the campus when those crises are done. Those plans consist of crisis management, crisis readiness, and also in there is a site action plan where each school site sets goals on how to make their campus safer. There's a copy of each one of these in the front office that can be accessed there through each office's front office staff. Each school site council approves these plans, goes over them, and then they are submitted through the district, I believe, in February to come to you guys. And then quarterly site district and safety team, so our district safety team, which I am happy to be leading. I had the opportunity to lead it 5-6 years ago when I was the assistant principal at Wilson C. Riles. I'm happy to return in that role this year. So I lead the district team along with Mr. Putnam, and each site has their own safety team that goes through what they need to do at each site. So next slide. These are the drills that are required of each site. As you see, each site must pull their alarm monthly and evacuate students. Earthquake drills are 3 times yearly. Intruder, hostage, barricade are also 3 times. Bomb threats are twice. And then we do a district-wide disaster drill each year. Each drill is documented and sent off to Mr. Putnam and Rosie Field at the Maintenance Transportation Office. And then if you look on the next slide, Eugene. Some of those trainings that are going on, as I just stated, we do a yearly active shooter training that I'll talk about in just a moment. These are some of the trainings that we do. Not every one is done every year. A couple of the main ones, all sites in the first 2 days with staff this year went through their Code Red lockdown training to make sure they had those procedures and policies in place with their staff. And then some of the other trainings, including what I'll talk about in just a moment, our Catapult emergency management system training has also taken places on campus. Some of the trainings that we've gone through in the past, as well as we're moving forward with. Yearly, like I said, we do a district disaster drill training. Those have been focused on anything from flood leaks to gas leaks to natural disasters. With things that have been going on through the nation, we decided to focus primarily this year and probably in the out years on active shooter drills and training with our staff and students. Some things that we've done in the past, all of our district admin and representatives from each safety team in 2018, in April of that year, went through a community-based threat assessment training. I believe it was right here for a couple days in Center High School Library, actually. Went through that. In May of 2017, actually at Wilson C. Riles, some of the administrators are still here. We had CAL FIRE and Placer County come to us and say that because of where our campus was, if there was an incident, there could be up to 8 different agencies that responded. So we worked for that year in conjunction with Mr. Deason, who was here, they organized an active shooter drill. They went through and allowed us as staff to participate as well as to observe how they would respond to an incident. We do have law enforcement support. We have a contract with Twin Rivers Police Department. We do have a school resource officer who is assigned to the district. They are present during the school day. They also do student outreach. You'll see them on each campus, and at the elementary campuses, you'll often see them with stickers Even the middle school kids love those. So they're doing outreach. They are housed here at Center High School, but available for at any time to any site. They have 24/7 coverage around the district, and they hook into our security cameras, which I'll talk about in just a second. And then they do have a 24/7 dispatch center that is available for calls after hours. And then, as I mentioned earlier, Catapult is our emergency management system. All of our staff was recently trained on it at the beginning of the year, retrained. That allows us to report incidents that happen from drills all the way to actual incidents that happen in real time. So we have also direct communication not only with others in the district, we get notifications, but also with police and fire. And then emergency procedures come directly to our staff members' phones. So if it's a code red drill where we need to lock down, those directions come directly immediately through the app on people's phones. There's also Catapult allows us to people to report bullying or any incidents through the websites. Those are available on desktops, mobile phones. You go to any school's website, you can easily find that and able to report an incident. And then district communication, that was enhanced a few years ago. Each site has 5 Motorola radios that are available to communicate with anybody at the district office, transportation, communicate with other sites. That used to be done through a handy dandy cell phone that wasn't always working. So that was an upgrade to be able to communicate directly if there was an incident with other sites as well as the district and transportation. Some security measures. We do have surveillance cameras that are fairly new to us. Some of those are still being installed, but you see the breakdown of how many cameras are active at each site. So there's 154 total in the district, including some around the annex where we are now. And then also when it comes to safety directives for campuses, all staff has been trained to make sure that their doors are locked and secured during the school day. I don't think I took 8 minutes, but are there any questions?
Okay,
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, moving on to item 13. Do we have any comments from the audience regarding items not on the agenda? Oh, you're right. I apologize. Thank you. Item 12. I completely skipped over that. Curriculum, instruction, and special education update with Mike Jordan. Sorry about that.
I almost called tap tap for a take back.
You
All right,
skipped
thank you. We'll start with the health department from our department. There are some COVID cases on campus, but very manageable. We do have 13,008 COVID home test kits that came in today. We'll distribute out those to sites. That's for students, staff, and the state has promised us they'll give us more each month. So we'll be more than fine on COVID tests. We also are fully staffed in our health departments. We have health folks at every site. So that's fantastic. Final thing, September 26th is our kickoff date for our campus clinic that's coming in. That's part of our COVID clinic. They're going to offer all kinds of services free of charge to our families and our staff, including everything from immunization clinics to wellness checks, all kinds of good stuff. So we're excited about that. They're actively recruiting health care professionals right now. Moving on to C&I, we are off to a quick start. We're in week 3. I want to thank all the staff, classified, certificated, everybody, just working really hard to start us off in a very good track. It's been a good start to the year. So special thank you to everyone. We're off and running on our iReady window and getting our iReady testing in reading and math. Our equity design team, we've been meeting with West Ed and getting our equity design team back up and going. We will have some invitations going out to many of our staff members who will be on that core team, and then we'll also have site teams off of those core teams from there. So we're getting that work back up and going again, which is fantastic. And then, this is related to the Williams complaint, but I don't want to do it at the same time. Part of what they're doing out at the state level are called Williams audits. So we had 3 schools this year, Oak Hill, lucky enough to get a Williams audit in both curriculum and facilities. So we've done 2 of those, Dudley and Oak Hill, and thanks to Farlene, Brett, and Becky Lawson, those went off fantastic. They went in, looked into, made sure we had curriculum materials for everybody. That was fantastic. We also are doing facilities, and thanks to Richard and his team, the custodians, those are going well also. Those should be completed within the next month, and then that'll be done for the year. So that's gone fantastic. All right, there's a lot of things going on. It's a very hectic time, but I would say overall, it's been a very good start to the year. The mic's not on? Start up.
Could you guys hear that?
I could hear it just fine. I didn't
I was
realize the
using my
mic wasn't
coaching
on.
voice.
We
I hope
heard
you
it.
could hear it. Okay.
But it didn't make the recording, so.
I got a message on Zoom, they couldn't hear it, but
Story of my life right there. Same way at home.
I wasn't
It's
paying
okay,
attention.
Dad. We
Do it
didn't
again.
care what you said anyway. Do I need to go again or? Good.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Jordan.
Okay, and facilities update with Richard Putnam.
Maybe turn the volume down a little bit.
We'll see if he remembers to turn it
So
on.
we can eliminate some of the feedback. Is that possible?
Good evening, everybody. We had a busy summer, so it's going to be kind of the bullet point rundown on my happy 2 pages of info for you this time. So number 1 is Rex Fortune, which we have some photos of the artist drawings at different points in the room here. The site is moving along very well. We actually have all pads have been poured. All buildings are in various stages of framing. We have some buildings that already have almost completed with their drywall. Color coat is going on the building, so as you go by the new site, you'll actually see colors popping out there. By the end of, or middle of October, they're anticipating having the first layer of asphalt down, so when the rains do come, we will not be delayed with weather conditions. We will be working in a dry environment, and all buildings will be completely weather tight by that time. So that will move that project along. Moving along, the lighting upgrade for the Center High School library has been completed. So that has a new LED lighting system that is pretty state of the art in the fact that you could be in a back corner and it picks up your voice or any noise and it will keep the lights on for you. So you will not have to worry about just motion keeping lights on. It now has an auditory component to it that helps keep the lights on. So that's a plus for items happening at the high school. Over at Riles Middle School, we completed the lighting upgrades in both the MP and the gym. At North Country, we did a lot of site work out there. We had some trip hazards with concrete lifting up. A lot of that was due to roots. Removed panels, cut out roots, redid the concrete. We also had to raise the birch pod and do some repairs. We found some rotted supports on that. So we were able to get that lifted, make the repairs, set it back down, pour concrete around there. And then also continuing on with North Country, we have temporary chain link that is up along Brown Otter. And then next week on the 23rd, I'm meeting with fencing contractors so we can get proposals for doing the first stages of the fencing down the Brown Otter side. After we get that, then we will move for the ornamental iron fencing that will be happening in the front of the school. That'll take a little bit longer of a process because we do have to go through DSA and get the approvals on that. The roof replacement that we were going to do for rooms 210, 211, and 212, we had a delay. That will be happening in October during the October break. Concrete work, we also did some concrete work over at Spinelli. We had a large panel of concrete that was causing issues entering in or exiting the building. The doors were dragging. after we ripped out the concrete, we found about a 5-inch root that had traveled about 75 feet that was lifting that whole concrete panel up. So we removed that root, put in some proper base, re-poured, and now they can actually get in and out of their office without any problems. Here at Center High School in the annex, we've also painted up the curbs, fresh coat of paint for the fire lane, bus drop-off, student drop-off, those items. Over at Dudley, the grounds crew went in and cleaned up a lot of the overgrowth that we have between the A and B wings and the B and C wings. So now when you're on Aztec and you're looking into the campus, you can actually look into the campus and you're not inhibited from seeing things because all the overgrowth is gone. That's a continuous process of what we're still doing because we're working with the site for what they want to do now that we've opened these areas up for them. We've had some mainline irrigation failures here at Center High School and also over at Riles. So the fields got a little dried out because of the time that it took to get all this fixed. Everything is back up and running now, and so we've got irrigation going back on these fields. Also at Center High School, a week before school was to open, we had a domestic water line that ruptured right by the gym. So the crew got on that and got everything taken care of and re-poured, had everything in place 2 days prior to school starting. And then right behind this building is our newest project that we have going, the CTE project. So a lot of the trees are gone, all the old portables are gone, and they've actually started digging out and forming up for the foundation slabs on that. The slabs should be getting poured end of this month, beginning of next month, depending on how fast all the rebar and everything arrives onto site. As you can tell, the dais keeps changing a little bit. We keep adding more. You no longer have the holes up in the ceiling. So as we're going through, everything's still being done. And then also, probably the best thing that has happened, we finally are fully staffed in the maintenance and facilities department. So that will help us actually be able to get to a lot of work orders and take care of items for the sites in a much more timely manner. And that concludes my report.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much. I was noticing the changes to this room.
Yes.
It's nice to see it coming along. Okay, now getting to item 13, comments from the audience regarding items not on the agenda. Do we have any comments from the audience? No? Okay. We are moving along quickly tonight. Consent agenda. Do I have a motion regarding the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent.
Okay, and do I have a second?
A second.
Okay. Advisory vote, Mr. Mason?
Aye.
Okay, trustee Kelly?
Aye.
Trustee Lee?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Consent agenda is adopted, approved, sorry. Okay, business item, going on to business items. Public hearing for consideration and adoption of resolutions regarding the adoption of a developer fee study and the increase of the statutory school fee, level 1 school fees. So item A under this, resolution number 1/22/23, the adoption of a fee justification study.
Point of correction here. What we would do is, if we'd please open a public hearing, we would give the opportunity for the public to comment on that.
Okay.
So if you just open a separate hearing right now, just open a
Okay.
public hearing, see if there's any public comment on that, then we'd close it down. Then if we could, the board could move on to items A and then B, which are related.
Okay, sorry, thank you.
No.
Still,
Sorry, Gene, I feel like I'm doing this.
still learning the procedure almost a year in, so. Okay, so opening a public hearing at 6:26 PM. And,
And if I can just, so the public's aware, what this is a, I don't know, Eugene, if that's me or. Okay. So what this is an item that they would take public comment relating to the statutory rate at which we can accept developer fees has been increased. So there's a process that the board has to go through and approve to actually make that correction. So what the statutory fee goes up to for each of the per square foot of houses being built. It allows us to charge those developer fees to help us mitigate some of the costs of having all those new homes go in there by paying for schools and different things along the way. So what this is doing is just giving the public the opportunity to make any sort of comment related to those fees being increased. The items A and B, which we'll get to in a second, actually are the fee justification, where they're saying that yes, we are justified in requesting that level 1 fee increase to the $479.
Okay, and just procedurally, do we do public comments on the whole batch all at once?
Actually, you
Or-
just do public comment related to our desire to do that increase, and then if there is none, you could close the hearing, then we move on to business item A.
Okay. So do we have any public comments on this issue? Okay. So having none, we will close the public hearing at 6:27 PM and move on to item A, resolution number 1, 2022-23, the adoption of a fee justification study.
Move to approve item A.
Okay, and do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, and
Just to make, this is a routine item that happens as things come up within, they allow for in government code. So just so the public's aware, it's allowing us to, when a home is built, there are certain fees that go to a school district that allow the school district to improve current facilities or construct new facilities. So this amount increases kind of like inflation or whatever. They allow for schools to charge more. So a developer building a house has different agencies they have to pay. So this developer fee that you guys are considering right now allows us to acknowledge that we are justified in accepting that new rate.
okay,
Just to clarify, so the first item is we're verifying that the study is accepted. And then the second item will be that we are increasing the fees in
Cor-
accordance with the
Correct.
study. Okay,
so,
got
so
it.
the motion that's on the
Is to
table now is
approve
to
the-
adopt the fee justification study.
Correct.
Okay, so, advisory vote, Mr. Mason?
Public comment?
Aye.
Oh. Are there any public comments on this item before we take a vote? Okay,
Aye.
okay, trustee
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Okay, and the chair votes aye, so the fee justification study has been adopted. Moving on to item B.
Move to approve.
And this is the increase in school facilities fees and adoption of CEQA notice of exemption. Do you have a motion to approve? And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, and are there any public comments on this? Okay, advisory vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Trustee-
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, so the increase has been adopted.
So just so the board and committee is aware, so now we move into I believe it's a 60-day window that we post if there's any other comments that might say that we are not justified. So after that 60 days, if no comment is received, we will then start charging that new rate. So that'll be helpful since there's a lot of new homes being built.
What happens if comment is received? Then do we have to come back and?
We would have to work through what that comment is
Okay.
and see if it's a valid concern. But the justification fee, I think, said we would be justified in going up to almost $6. So, but that's above.
And
the
we're
limit.
only going $479?
Well, it's
We're nice.
legally, that's all you can do.
Okay. Business item C, nominations for CSBA Directors at Large, Asian Pacific Islander, and Hispanic.
Move to table?
Okay, do I have a second on that?
Does that mean we can't discuss it? If we table it?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Traditionally, we've just said we don't know anybody to nominate, and so we've just passed it by, but you don't have to second my table request, that's fine.
Okay, do I have a second? Do I have a second? The motion to table has died on the floor.
Got it.
Okay, do I have another motion on this item?
I've just had some questions about this.
So we can move to bring it to the floor for discussion?
Yes.
There we go.
Okay, and do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay, motion to bring it to the floor for discussion. So you had questions?
Yeah, I'm just curious about what this is, and as I read over the information, it looks like they're using race-based designators to decide their directors at large, and I'm just curious about that. It seems very racist to me. And I don't understand what the CSBA is doing by making someone's race a quality of whether they can serve on their directors at large or not.
I don't have an answer for the organization, other than I know, and perhaps not to put you on the spot, Ms. Kelly, I know you do a lot more with CSBA, but I know they just had different, you're right, race-related spots for the director-at-large seats. So some of the seats are for different
Yeah, and I think probably these seats have existed for quite some time, and the intent was to have representation for those, for those people, various cultures. And so it was a requirement to have people in these classifications, rather than saying they, like there, just to make sure that we had a variety of representation. I am not 100% sure of that assessment, but that would be my guess, because I had a similar experience with another organization I was in. And I would say maybe this is something we should bring forward to CSBA as a new resolution, as far as like, this is outdated.
Yeah.
Frankly, I'm guessing, and this is strictly guessing and no knowledge to back this up, that it was instituted to try to make sure that different groups are represented. However, you do bring up a fair point about this is perhaps not the best way to go about it. For us here, we don't control what CSBA does. And
We do.
well,
But we are affiliated, so.
We do.
the group of us does not decide entirely. We can have some input into it, but we don't dictate what they do. We can have input, but, it's,
And we actually have a delegate that has some possible more clout and
Yeah, I mean,
influence.
hopefully I could figure out how to submit a new resolution or bring it forward to the
Yeah. And they-
resolutions committee.
And these
so.
come up periodically, and I know the board historically has not taken action on them, but
Simply because we don't know anyone to
Correct.
nominate.
Correct.
It's like,
Correct.
who would we nominate? We could nominate you, but.
Well, that would be
mean you'd have to
assuming a
attend.
lot that I fit one of those categories or that I identify with them.
right. So what we can do is maybe, Ms. Kelly, between you and I, we can figure out with CSBA and see and get some context around it. But at this point, if no one's comfortable, I would not bring it. I would let it fall
Well,
to the
and
floor.
if we table it, we could still bring it back, but I think then we would be outside of the window of nomination, so.
That is possible. But these do come through at least annually, I believe.
Yeah,
so we could table it, or it could just die on the floor if we have.
Correct.
For the motion.
yeah, no further motion.
Okay.
There you go.
Is there any public comment on this item? I skipped that step. Okay. So are there any further motions on this item? Any further motions on this item? Then this item has died on the floor. Okay, moving on to the 45-day budget update for fiscal year 2022-23.
Hello.
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 Is this on?
Oh,
I think you
it
turned it
was on.
off.
There you go.
Okay.
There you
Sorry. So going back over the budget process, we as a district had to adopt a budget in June, and then the state budget comes out in July. So it was our best guess based on the governor's May revision of his budget that we base the numbers on. And then they go and haggle out the numbers and then come back with the budget. And I have to put a disclaimer on there, when they come back with the budget, they give us the big amounts, and people provide estimates of what they think that will give to the districts. And so even though this 45-day update is required, and that means it's 45 days after the budget adoption, I still don't have strong numbers in here because I have estimates of what we think we're going to get. And a calculator was provided in here that actually turned out to be off by $1 million, as we'll get to when I get to that calculator. So we really are just still looking at a glimpse. These aren't really solid numbers, and the solid numbers will come at first interim when I report that in December. So that was my little disclaimer. Thank you. Next one. Next one. Okay. So luckily, they did have some relief for our ADA, our decline in average daily attendance. There's 3 ways we can now calculate our ADA. It can be the current year, whichever's higher, or the prior year, or it's a rolling average of 3 years. And for last year, 21-22, the calculation is to take our enrollment for 21-22, but use our attendance rate factor for 19-20 pre-COVID. So that's how we come up with our 2021 ADA number, and then the 2 years before that all average out into this rolling number. So we take the highest of that calculation, or prior year or current year. And so it works out best for us to take that rolling average number. And in doing so, it increased our ADA by 320 students, and we receive on an average of about $10,000 per student, so that's a significant increase. And then on the out years, because we have that rolling average now too, that it still increases our attendance, but because it's a rolling average and it's starting to capture our low ADA, you'll see the number decline as time goes on. So how it affects our unrestricted revenue. When I brought the budget to you in June, I thought that we would receive $46.5 million in state funding and unrestricted funding, and that number's increased by a little under $10 million. And that was from that rolling ADA average. And also, they increased our LCFF base grant by 6.28%. And then included in that also is an art, music, instructional materials block grant, which is $877,000. It's called the Art, Music, Instructional Materials Block Grant, but it actually can be spent on anything. It's discretionary and it's unrestricted, so that's on that side of the pot. And then, actually that was $2.46 million. Then we received for transportation $877,000. So all of those things add up to just under $10 million increase in our total unrestricted revenue. In the out years, we don't have the one-time money anymore in there, the discretionary funds, but the ADA relief is still in there, and that ongoing COLA is still in there. This is where the number's off now, because School Services of California did their best guess of a calculator, and it's in the back of your board packet, but when the official calculator came out just this past Thursday night, it was off this year by only $100,000. So we will receive $100,000 more than School Services projected. But in the next year and the year after that, we'll receive $1 million less than School Services calculator projected versus the FCMAT calculator, which is the official one we're supposed to use. This is based on ADA from last year, so we'll have to see how the numbers shake out as far as our enrollment, our attendance rate, and then again, at first interim, we'll have more solid numbers for you. This is not something you vote on, this is just an informational presentation. Okay, the next one. So because we're taking in more revenue, then we're going to spend more funds. I had projected that we would spend $36.5 million in unrestricted expenditures, and that has increased to $2.3 million. Included in that is that whole art, music, learning materials grant. And then also we added some of the things that you committed last June. So you had committed $2 million for maintenance needs, and so I went ahead and moved that into the budget. Also, we're in negotiations with our unions, and so I moved what the district's initial proposal is into the budget, so that's already part of it. And then in the out years, our expenditures increased $1.8 million and $3 million. Again, the negotiated salary increases goes over several years, or forever. The next one. So our ending fund balance, we will be deficit spending $1.9 million this year, and that is because of the one-time funds that we're using, like the $2 million that were committed. And then next year that goes up, but instead of 2.6 million, it's 1.6 million. And then the year after that, it's actually going to be 3.8 million if I take the new calculator that's more accurate for the official one. And a reminder that we have to keep our reserves under 10%. And so I put the additional funds into the budget, and we're under 10% reserves right now. As the year goes on, we'll see, as I close the books and things shake out, we'll see where we're at, and then we might have to commit some more funds, but right now at this point, we don't have to. I'd said in June when I presented the budget, we might have to commit more this time, and we don't. So I just wanted to follow up on that. And is that it? So that's just a quick overview of how things have changed with our revenue and expenditures.
So can I just clarify, what you're saying is that we're still doing a 3-year average, but for the 2021 or 21-22 fiscal year, it's enrollment. And then you said with a calculator for attendance. Can you explain that a little bit more?
So you multiply that by our attendance rate in 1920 before COVID.
Oh, so we take our attendance from before times our enrollment.
So it's about
Got it.
95,
Yeah.
96% before, and then we drop to 86 to 88%.
So they're letting us.
So we're letting us take the
old one.
95%.
Nice, and that will continue into the next 2 years?
I
that
believe so.
same-
I tried to see in writing, does this go on indefinitely now? Is this just the
Well, I mean,
permanent
it'd
new
be nice.
calculator? And I have not found
At least till we
out.
get past the whole 21-22 fiscal year being part of the
Right.
formula, I
Yeah.
would think that they're gonna keep it.
Right.
That was a really great solution they came up with, I think.
I think so
that
too.
was
It helped
good.
us for sure.
It's permanent until it's changed.
It's permanent until it's changed. Well, I mean, it's only 3 years we have to worry about, right?
Right.
So,
And hopefully we'll get the new school and enrollment will go up and we'll be great.
and then I had another question about the 2 million that we did set aside for maintenance, which really isn't a question for you, but more a question for Mr. Putnam. Is that, are we like slated to get some air conditioning and stuff taken care of with that?
I think we still have to map out the plan.
I
Yeah,
heard that
so-
there was quite a
But
delay
we
with
already
DGS.
have money set aside from COVID funds
Yeah.
for $2 million in HVAC.
So it's that, plus that cost was higher, so we think we'll have to use some of this, plus we're looking at extra things like the extra fencing around North Country. So we're
Yeah.
doing bigger projects with that, which we'll come back and give an overview. I don't think he's had to tap
Into it yet.
into it yet. That's
Say
what I was
that
trying
about
to
10 times.
Because remember, we still get restricted routine maintenance fund, 3% of our total expenditures, which
Right.
is $1.875 million.
I was just asking because I've heard that there's quite a delay in HVAC projects because of all of the work being done. So I'm kind of curious, are we actually able to move forward on that stuff? So
Right.
that's for Richard question.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much.
Mr. Bruno, just because it was a business item, we would have to take a motion to bring that to the floor in a second, just for the record. So unfortunately, it's just a discussion item, but we do need a motion, so no problem. We've been off for summer break, it's okay.
So, important lesson for all the students in here, the adults in your left, we're all winging it too. We're just figuring things out as we go.
But just for our record, if we could have a first and
Okay.
second for a motion.
Okay.
that-
We'll get it
Can
done.
I get a motion?
Yes, I move to bring the item we just discussed to the floor for discussion.
And do I have a second?
Retroactively second.
And important other stuff we skipped, are there any public comments on it? Okay. Yeah, take a month off and it all falls apart. Okay, moving on to the board superintendent reports. Trustee Kelly?
Actually, could you skip me? I'm sorry, I'm having difficulty remembering what I wanted to talk about, so.
Okay. Trustee Lee?
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 22-23 school year. It's hard to believe that we've made it here. August is not any Heritage Month, so I won't be giving out any Heritage Month celebration notes. But I'm just hoping as we start the new school year, you know, with our focus on social emotional learning and the well-being of our students and families, that we continue that it's not just, you know, something that we kind of did during the pandemic times and that we kind of drop. I'm really thankful for the work that Mr. Jackson has done in the SAFE Center and hoping to see that continue, especially after he steps down from that position, which I understand is going to be happening or has happened.
Has happened, yes.
So yes, I'm looking to see how that continues because I think it's an important resource for our community members and families. And just want to note too, in terms of my office hours, September 5th is a Labor Day holiday, so I won't have them that first Monday, but I'll be back at office hours on Zoom on October 3rd from 4 to 5, and you can find the link on my on the board member website. So thanks everyone, be safe, be well. We're sure to have a most interesting school year.
All right, thank you very much. I don't have a whole lot to say. I just want to say thank you to all the staff members for starting the school year off right. From what I hear, things are going fairly smoothly so far, and I love seeing all the faces in the room tonight, and I want to commend those of you who are here. I know when my kids were doing this, we went to the last possible board meeting they could go to. So it's great that you guys are knocking this out early.
Get her done.
And thank you for everyone for all the work you're doing, and welcome to Riley. So, all right.
Okay. All right, so I just wanted to say thank you to Ryan for the fantastic event that he and his team put together, the community event. I am so sad I missed it, but wow, I heard it was a great turnout, even in spite of the massively hot weather. So congratulations on that. The event that I did get to go to was the classified new employee orientation, so I was very happy to say hello to all those folks, and I apologize I was not able to meet the new certificated the next day, but welcome to them as well. We have the equity, I don't know, what's it called, equity thing coming up.
Maybe.
The equity thing. No, don't tell me they're
No,
canceling again.
Are you kidding me?
Equity Network coming up, and the first meeting is supposed to be in 2 weeks, so we'll see if that actually happens. They've delayed this 3 times now, but we're hoping that we will have it. Welcome back to the new school year. Fantastic job. I mean, we didn't get any red alarms going, so that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And that's my report.
And just to circle back, thank you for bringing up those events. I really wanted to attend those, but unfortunately I'd been exposed to COVID, and so I decided to play it safe. So, yes, I heard wonderful things about that backpack event, though. So, okay, and Superintendent Lair?
Yeah, and I think, Kelly, you might have read my notes there, but I did want us to say that it was nice to meet all of our new employees, both classified, certificated, and actually been able to get in some classrooms of those new folks. So it's great to see them in action. So we welcome them to our district. Also, I want to thank all of our staff, new and continuing, for the smooth start. I know from our perspective, sometimes it seems easy and it's like, oh, it was great. But I know it was a lot of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears. So I thank them all for their part in making that smooth for our families and our students. It's good times. And if you, sorry, I'll go off my little script, but if you go out and see the students' faces, we did a good job. When you see the little kids skipping down the hallways and the big kids being polite and saying, hey, thank you very much, and asking questions. So anyway, kudos to everyone for their role in making that happen. And then to Mr. Jordan's point, the Williams visit, that's also been the beginning of the year, but it's also taxing because we didn't know what to expect because we hadn't been on the list. So thank you to those administrators and staff in the district who've gone through curriculum and facilities ones. And thank you to Mr. Jordan and Mr. Richard Putnam for his efforts, because we were a little nervous, but we came with a good clean bill of health. And then also we're working on our expanded learning opportunities grant for our students, and we're partnering with Catalyst in some conversations. So I thank Mr. Barassi for his work with that. We're seeing if we can get something going so we can extend learning opportunities for students before school and possibly after, or since some of our schools start earlier, it might be just after, but it would extend to a 9-hour day. So that will be a really great opportunity that we look forward to coming back and sharing more information with the board. And then the other two important things, I think, was the work Mr. Jordan alluded to with West Ed. Our equity design team is kicking off. We're starting to invite folks. We've got a couple preliminary meetings with West Ed. It's going to be some hard, heavy work and a long-term commitment. So we're excited to get going with that. And then finally, I just wanted to say, Ryan out of the Family Resource Center, their staff did an outstanding job with that event. I selfishly, or I don't know if selfishly is the right word, but we were sitting there going, I just hope someone shows up. And when they did, they came in droves, and it was hot. And they gave out over 1,000 backpacks, a lot of food, a lot of supplies. It was really, really good. And I told Ryan, it really set a positive tone, I think, for where we went and where we want to go as a district as the students came back into school. And you could just see the pride as the students were walking back in about 110 degrees, because it was on the asphalt there, with their backpacks on, their new cool backpacks. So I think a big kudos to them. And rumor is they're already starting to plan, because I said, hey, you set the bar. This is your first time. What are you going to do next year? So I think we estimated probably 2,000 people came to that. It was one of the, other than graduation for Center High School, it was one of the biggest events I've seen that we brought our families in. So that's a great thing. And other than that, looking forward to a great year. I agree with you, Dr. Lee. I think it's going to be an interesting year, but it's going to be a good one, because it's got some good positive vibes out there. So anyway, thank you.
All right. Advanced planning, future meeting dates. We have a regular meeting Wednesday, September 21st here. Do I have any suggested agenda items? Okay. As always, if something comes up, just email us. Okay, continuation of closed session. We have nothing, so we don't need to do that. So do I have a motion for adjournment?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Quick roll call vote. Mr. Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Kelly?
Aye.
Trustee Lee?
Aye.
And chair votes aye, and meeting adjourned at 6:52.
And I just have to say, this has got to be the earliest we've gotten done in a year, so congratulations,
I'm
Mr.
thrilled.